lot of people are hoping for. We lost 3,300 in open interest yesterday. The markets, the regular trading hour session did close lower. This bar is a green bar. What do you think about this breakout above that level, that 21,534, or 5% off the all-time high, Ray?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty significant. I think if we manage to hold above, I mean, we do see a little bit of wick on top of that, so it'll be interesting to see how this current candle closes. But this if this candle does firm up over the course of the day today, that could be significant. That could be the signal of us reaching some of these levels above us at 22,000. I don't know, was it 22,500? I think it's like 22,495, somewhere in that range. That was signal. I mean, if we can kind of firm up this candle to be a little bit stronger, I don't see any reason that we don't reach those levels over the next course of the next week or two.
So we're kind of looking at balance to breakout rules, and we're looking at a potential breakout in a longer
Yeah.
time
And,
frame above that
and
level.
and the
Let's
fact
look
that
at
it's
this.
and the fact that it's daily, I think is what carries the significance here, right? Because these daily levels, they don't break that easy, right? And when
Yeah,
they do, they generally and it creates a kind of a natural momentum for further price action in that same direction. So it'll be interesting to see how this current candle closes today, for sure.
100%. Yeah, if we see a lot of excess on the daily candle, that could be an issue. Of course,
Hmm.
take a look at the 30 now. So this blue box here is that whole zone that we've been talking about. And if you look back on this 30-minute chart, hourly chart, whatever chart you're looking at, you're going to see this market has tried one, two, three, four, five, maybe even six times to see if it can break out and see any activity above here. So this would be the balance, fade the extremes, fade the extremes, fade the extremes to the
Order
breakout.
filled.
A substantial breakout above this level would be something you would want to think maybe we should try and go with. The problem
Hmm.
with that is what
Where?
represents good participation. Of course, we'd love to see
Mm.
momentum in our way if we were taking this breakout to the long side. Was it time? Is it volume? What is the tool that you use, each of you, to determine if this breakout is going to continue, or is it going to falter and fail and come back down below this level for a move to the downside?
Mm.
We've got, you know, uh, earnings are pretty much done. We had Hormel, Best Buy, Burlington stores today. We got Costco, Dell, Ulta, and Gap, just some that I am well aware of coming out after the close. But the major earnings are done. We're waiting for the PCE numbers tomorrow. A couple talking Feds today. Anything can happen. That's the subjective part of this, Ray, is what represents good participation on a breakout. I mean, if you looked at this last night at 6 o'clock, boy, this was a pretty substantial breakout, pretty decent volume for the
Pretty
overnight.
vertical. Yeah.
hmm What are
Order
what are the
filled.
the longer time frame traders going to do at this point? Are they going to adjust inventory to the upside, which is really what the weekly kickoff levels are trying to kind of distinguish when longer time frame traders will be forced to adjust inventory. One, two, three. We had a lot of activity, a lot of failure at
Hmm.
that level. We're now above it. Do we come back to it and rally? Is to me is really the question. We did trade to one naked point of control above here, 21,802. Base there for quite a while. We're coming off. Now the difference between the Nasdaq and the S&Ps is the S&Ps is back in range from yesterday. Nasdaq is holding above. The Nasdaq is presenting as the stronger of the two markets. Ray, what do you think of that?
Yeah. Yeah. Again, I think if we're thinking bullish, we need to wait for areas that where we can manage our risk. And I'm not really a big fan of participating in the middle of a range. So,
Mm-hmm.
looking at the high end of value here on the where I have here in the green, 21,500,
Mm-hmm.
it would be a nice level to participate in. We have point of control from yesterday's session. Also, another kind of visual, as we discussed already. The fact that price is below VWAP is kind of indicating to me that maybe a little bit more room to the downside in this market, right? So and the so if we are going
Order
to the
rejected.
upside, obviously we need to see price get above VWAP. For me, that's kind of my kind of
Order
sentiment
filled.
indicator a little bit.
Oh
And
no,
if we
go, huh?
can't get above VWAP, then we'll probably continue to kind of maybe float lower.
Will you anchor VWAP on the open on a shorter time frame chart? See where price maintains
Yeah, I think that would be a
regarding
reasonable
that.
thing to do on the open. I've done that on the London just to kind of keep tabs on London. So I've kind of oh, done an anchored VWAP on London and kind of see what London is
Order
doing.
filled.
So I've done that with London, but yeah, I think once the New York session opens,
Order filled.
opening up an anchor VWAP on the open of the session and getting a gauge of where price is in relation to that, I think is very reasonable.
Right. Profile yesterday. Another late spike to the downside. The base of that late spike, 21,401 and a quarter. We are going to be opening with great probability above the base of that Order late spike,
Mhm.
Order.
Filled.
Indicating
Right.
probable acceptance of higher pricing. Does it mean
Right.
we are on the buy?
Mhm.
Order filled. What we're doing here, Ray and I are doing here, is we're just working context, trying to help
Yes.
you with your tools look for the right opportunities. So if I'm
Mhm.
looking for, the market to either be overlapping to higher or outright higher
Order
than real
filled.
value yesterday, well, one of the first things I'll be looking for is if we can't close the session gap to the high of the day yesterday, which was 21,567 half.
Order
If
filled.
we can't close that gap, I'll be looking for opportunities in the direction of the gap.
Mm.
Sometimes a gap close right to the top of the previous day's range can be supportive. This whole blue zone here is just that. It is a zone that was resistance. Does it now become support? If it does become
Right.
support, we can pretty much be sure that value from today will probably be outright above value from yesterday. Again, folks, ACH, anything can happen. I'm not even
Right.
looking at the base of that late spike for opportunities. Again, 21,401 quarter. I think if we get down there, we've got bigger problems. That would be a failure of a breakout in a longer time frame. What do you think about
Right.
that, Ray?
Yeah, no doubt. I think if we are unable to hold these levels above, then yeah, that could spell for further exploration lower. So yeah, this is going to be important. Was this a real move? If it was a real move, then the expectation is whoever participated in that move is probably going to come in and step in and add more to that position, right? So yeah, interesting.
Is this a real move or is this a Sears move? Are you a Frank Zappa fan at all?
Huh?
You a Frank Zappa fan at all?
Oh no, not really.
Is that a real poncho or is that a Sears poncho? Is that a real move or is that a Sears move? That's the question. All right, let's look at crude oil now.
All right.
Positive sentiment has pushed the market a little bit higher, but it has fallen off since
Yeah.
the overnight open. Open interest indicates a pretty good boost in open interest of 8,500 contracts. That has really been piling into the long side since the end of rollover or near the end of rollover. We've had a lot of open interest just pile in a zone here, in a balance. We're still in balance where this is a smaller balance inside a larger balance. This has been a
Yeah.
tough market to read.
Mm.
What do you think about this, Ray?
I think it's a market. I think it's a market that we probably need to avoid, to be honest.
I'm with you.
I think this kind of overlapping price action with lack of direction. I think it's really an area that we probably need to sit on the sidelines and wait for the market to kind of tell us what direction they want to take it. Right now, we're hovering at the top end of the range. But we're getting a lot of indications that there are a lot of sellers above 63 and a half. So I for one are probably going to be, and if I for some time now I've actually had kind of crude oil on the sideline. There was movement yesterday that allowed for some short term trades, but not a market that I want to be super active in at the moment.
Yeah, it's been a tough market, I think, for well, I mean, there was the longer term breakout that we had to the downside that I think had some opportunities. This is one
Mm,
of those markets where Ray and I think you'll agree, you really want to focus on the
Order
extremes for
filled.
any kind of opportunities. We're
right.
right in the middle of this
Order
other
filled.
area of balance.
Yeah. 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 Not really.
Let's
Not really a market that I would want to be a part of for sure.
take a look at the 30. We're probably going to do the opening range trade as we try and do every day. Overnight inventory. Well, long, reconciled, getting short, getting
Yeah.
short. We've moved all the way through the value from yesterday twice. Get session
Order
low
filled.
right about here, 61.59. So it looks like we may be opening with a gap to the downside. On this 30-minute chart, we're testing right down to that 200 session moving average, which could be an interesting level, especially for an opening range trade.
Yeah.
But yeah, this has been a tough market. It really has. There's a kind of a naked volume point of control down here, down around 60.73. But again, when you look at the bigger picture, let's like blur our eyes out a little bit. We're in the middle of a range that we've been in for a couple of
Order
weeks. Being
filled.
right in the middle
Yeah.
is typically not going to be good trade location for me. I do love the fact that
No.
we may be seeing some opportunity down here at this 200 session moving average. But let's run into gold real quick, Ray.